Good afternoon, everybody. Appreciate you being here. So to start out, obviously, pleased with Saturday's performance, especially in the second half. Thought the team really hung together and did a good job in all three phases. So, we expected it to be a tough game, and it was, predictably. So, just really pleased to get the victory. And, all that being said, we still have plenty to work on, just from consistency in terms of our execution, our operation, just in general. And, I think the other two things are probably, being a more detailed outfit. And then, we got to do a better job of turning the page and getting on to the next week. We didn't do too well a couple of weeks ago on that. So hopefully we're learning as we go along. And as you enter November, it's going to be critical because, things are going to happen fast right now. It's all Big Ten play, all conference play. And, again, just being consistent in operation, all three phases, and being prepared. That's what it's going to take to be successful. So, unique time of the year for sure. Regarding Wisconsin, our captains will be the same four guys. You got Jay Higgins, Quinn Schulte on the defensive side. You got Luke Lachey and Cade McNamara offensively. Injury-wise, share this with you. Cade will not be playing. Okay, he's not going to be able to make it, so he's out. Reese Vanderzee will not make it. Ostranga. Nestor will continue to be out, and we'll see on those guys. Those guys will probably be through the bye, I'm guessing. And then, on the positive side, Fish was able to come back. He was fine yesterday, a little bit weak, but doing fine practice today. And then Bo Stevens worked today, and I think he's got a chance to play if he can get through the week. So we'll see what that looks like and go from there. And then, going back to Cade, he took a really tough shot there in the second quarter, and he's still feeling that. So unfortunately, he's going to be out. Just feel badly for him because it's been a tough stretch, really for about 2.5 years here. And I've said it before, and you guys have heard me say it a million times, the worst thing about coaching is dealing with injuries. It's something nobody wants to deal with, and certainly he's had his tough share of bad luck here. So feel bad about that, but hopefully we'll get him back soon, get him back on his feet. Going to shift into Brendan, I thought he did a really good job out there, played with boys, was productive, and he's practicing well so far this week, so off to a good start. And we're going to need each and every guy to be doing that because we play a tough opponent, Wisconsin. Rivalry game, Heartland Trophy, and it's been a series that's been back and forth. And one thing that's been consistent, they're always good. They're big, they're athletic. Once again, and second year for Coach Fickle and his staff, so they've truly settled in. They look good, and they're playing really good football. Had a very impressive 3-game stretch there prior to Saturday's game, and then play a top 5 opponent and played them right to the basically right to the end there. So tough opponent, and we're going to have to be at our best to have a chance to be competitive. But it should be a good environment. Obviously, a night game in Kenneck, something to get excited about, and we need to be at our best certainly to have a chance in this ball game. And then last but not least, the honorary captain kids captain this week is Hunter Mickelson. And if that name sounds familiar, John played here for us 20-plus years ago. He and his wife, Brooke, are parents of Hunter and 3 other boys, so a family of 4. And Hunter was born with a rare kidney disorder that really affected him when he was a newborn. Initially, they thought he was just colicky, upset baby, but bottom line is what they did, they diagnosed it, and it's called nephrogenic, stick with me on this one, diabetes insipidus, and I guess it afflicts 1 out of every 2.3 million people, so it's a very rare thing. Good thing is they've learned how to manage it. He's doing great. He's a 9-year-old, doing really, really well, so it'll be great to have him with us on Saturday, and I'll throw it out for questions.
Gazette. Hi, Kirk. You were saying really tough shot for Cade McNamara. Does that mean it's a head injury, and are you able to comment at all on kind of the severity of it?
Yeah, well, it's a concussion, yeah. So he's been ruled out. Hasn't been able to phase back in at all yet, so that's number one. But he's sore in other places, too. Hit the turf pretty hard. So, it's just part of playing that position. It's a tough position to play. As far as the severity and all that, my experience, and I'm certainly not qualified medically other than I listen to a lot of things and watch. It seems like each and every one is a different discussion. So, with some luck, hopefully he'll start turning the corner. I think he's going to go to class today and, give that a try. Hopefully he'll be back here soon. hopefully next week. We'll see.
Hey, Kirk, Ellie Clough, Hawkeye Beacon. I wanted to ask a little bit about Brendan and his journey, getting here in June and now being named your starter. I guess, what stood out to you personality-wise when he was in the portal? And he seems like a quiet guy, but also like beloved by the team and a fiery guy on Saturday. I guess, what are your thoughts on his growth, personality-wise, also as a football player getting here in June and now being your starter?
Sure. So, we were doing the evaluations. I guess it would have been fairly late spring. And, you watch his tape, and there were some really good things. And I recalled, us getting ready for Northwestern, ironically, a year ago. They played Maryland the week before. And I find ways to really get over-nervous about games, and that was part of that. Maryland, I thought it was a really good game. Both teams were going back and forth in that game. And Brendan did a nice job really moving their team and was in a real good rhythm. Their team was in a rhythm. And it was a really good football game. So, I vaguely remember that. Obviously, didn't know we were going to be looking at him in that a different vein, back whenever it would have been April or May. But that game really stood out. He had others where it was okay, but that type of thing, it was kind of up and down a little bit with the team and with his performance. But when we got to meet him, he was very, very impressive. And I think probably the most important thing kind of answers your question, at least from my perspective, when he got here in June. One thing I'm really impressed with is the fact that he got here that late and was able to learn, has been able to learn as quickly as he did. And that's part of the benefit of being an older guy, too, and he's a smart guy. But he just works hard. You go watch the guys in the summer program, and he's leading the group in sprints, those types of things. And basically anything they're doing, he's going full speed and really getting after it and doing a great job. And to your point, not overly boisterous, but just, he's a guy who commands respect through performance. And I think, it seems very apparent that players really like him. They support him. Obviously, same thing with Cade, he's a captain. And so, you got two guys there that are really working at it and doing a good job there. But, yeah, and he got his opportunity, bigger opportunity Saturday and did a really good job with it. But every week's an adventure, just like all of our guys, just like all of us. But, yeah, I'm confident he'll do a great job.
Adam Jacoby, Hawkeye Beacon. Looked like a bounce-back day for the secondary against Northwestern, especially after their Michigan State performance. What was it like to have Deshaun Lee back in the starting lineup and really see the unit be as productive as they usually are?
Yeah, I said after that game, the bad game, that, hopefully it was uncharacteristic, but, let's talk. You got to go out and prove it. And based on this past Saturday, maybe we'll be able to look back and say it is uncharacteristic. But, yeah, we looked a lot better. We just looked like a team that had maybe practiced and was doing things a lot more fundamentally sound. And we're going to have a hard time against anybody if we don't tackle well. And I'm not discrediting what Michigan State did. They played really well. But it's our job to try to match tempo. And, if this guy's got a ball, you got to tackle him somehow. So, yeah, I'm encouraged, certainly, and it was good. It felt more like us out there on the field. Our tempo was better. Thought everybody was, where they should have been. And, didn't see a lot of guys reach or on the ground, those kinds of things, which are really a bad sign defensively.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Kirk, kind of a two-part question, but it seems like no matter what happens, Wisconsin always finds a way to run the football and just find really, really outstanding running backs. What have you kind of seen from, Tawee Walker this year? And then as far as the rivalry goes, what separates Iowa and Wisconsin from maybe some other Big Ten rivalries? Because it does seem like it's one of the more physical Big Ten games in any season.
Yeah, it's interesting. I go way back. When I got here, I remember we knocked them out of the Rose Bowl, actually, in '81. I remember that. It was a tough game. I can't tell you who the quarterback was. The other thing I remember from that game, they had run a bounce pass, where the quarterback throws it off the turf to a receiver, catches it behind the line, and chucks it down there. We must have practiced it 30 times, and they hit it for a touchdown against us. So, practice doesn't always make perfect. I'll never forget that. And it's a hard play to defend. It's just, everybody wants to come forward for obvious reasons. But, and then it was interesting, when that thing tailed off there at the late 80s. Before I left here, their program had really gone to a place that, I don't think anybody would have envisioned. And then, Barry was hired same year. I guess, well, not same year. What year was he here? That would have been, 90 when he got there, right? Yeah, would have been 90. So, And up they went, just, and since I got back here in 99, they've been nothing but strong and just very, very impressive in all regards. But, they're a lot alike. They have more population, I guess, but a lot of in-state players on both teams. And, I think Barry and I had some similarities philosophically about what it should look like, that type of deal. He certainly did it to a really high level, Rose Bowls, Rose Bowl victories. And when we got here in 99, they were the ones we were looking at. And the only good thing about us going up there in 99 and getting beaten for them to clinch the Rose Bowl gave us an exposure, all of the people in our organization, myself included, hey, this is what it looks like. This is where you got to try to get. And so it kind of set the bar for us. But, they've been a good football team as long as I can remember. And it's always a tough contest. It's typically going to be a physical contest, good defenses, and hopefully both teams, are trying to run the ball a little bit and that type of thing. And they're doing a really nice job. Yep, Jack.
It looked like Kirk took that shot on the 3rd and 10. That was a roughing the passer. Why did you feel he was able to go back out onto the field? And at what point did you decide we need to pull him because of the possible head injury?
I mean, yeah, he wasn't feeling great, but it wasn't like he was incoherent by any stretch. But we had, as I said Saturday, we had already planned a rotation going into the game. And it just so happens that was the time, coincidentally, if you will. And we were going to do that regardless, unless it was the ball was like on the 1-inch line. We had 99 plus to go. Not fair to throw a guy in there cold doing that. But, it wasn't like any symptoms really presented himself other than he was, sore and shook up, certainly. But then, at halftime they diagnosed it and, held him out. Not much sure when they diagnosed the concussion, actually. But, he just wasn't fit to play at halftime.
With Bo potentially coming back, do you see a rotation there to continue at that position with either Ellsbury or Cade Pieper?
Yeah, that's possible. We really haven't talked about it, and we'll have to get through the week to make sure Bo is going to be back, and then we'll worry about that. That's easy. But today, all three of them were playing at that position, both first, second team. So we had, however many snaps, 10 or 12, to divide up with three guys. And we'll try to just ease him back. I don't think he's ready to play a full game, conditioning-wise. But he's a really good football player and playing very well. So it'd be nice to get him back into the mix, that's for sure.
Chad Lace, Dakota Des Moines Register. Obviously, backup quarterback, again in the spotlight. Is Marco Linus available this week? And if would it be him or Jackson Stratton? I guess at this point, is that kind of where the pecking order is right now?
Yeah, that's really who's left. And I won't tell you who number 4 is right now. And I hope you never find out. With all due respect, but it's a guy who played high school quarterback. But we're basically out of guys. James Reesar has moved to receiver, and unfortunately he sustained an injury last week. So it's a little bit ironic that all of a sudden it's a thin pool. But we'll go with the guys we got and find a way.
Mitch Vick, KGAN. You preach November football and playing your best in that month. You're 18-2 the last 5 years in November, and that's handling injuries and the ebbs and flows of a season. What have you learned about your teams any month in November, but particularly these last 5 where, every obstacle seemed to be in the way one year or another, and 18 out of 20 is pretty good?
Yeah, we've had some interesting, circumstances, certainly in November last half decade. But that's football too, and it's interesting if you look at our conference right now, 5-3 and 3-5. There's, almost everybody is in that bunch outside of maybe 3-4 teams. I don't know. You can look it up exactly, but so it's really it's a little bit like the NFL. In the NFL, it used to be December, and maybe it's December, January now, the extra game. But it's really where things kind of get decided and get separated. And again, I go back to the consistency, the details. The better a team understands that, the better off you're going to be in this type of year. It's going to be a lot of close games, would be my guess. And, so you just never know what little thing is going to lead to a win. It might be something you did on Tuesday in practice or, corrected, that type of thing during the course of the week. So, we've been fortunate. We've had guys that have understood that and really, paid attention and tried to do a good job that way to put ourselves in position at least to, come out on top. But all that being said, it's tough, and it's fun in a way, but it's exhausting in a way too, and that's I guess that's how it's supposed to be.
Blake Hornstein, Hawkeye headquarters. Kirk, special teams with kicker and punter, it is a unique position where guys as freshmen are asked to come in and start and play a big role immediately. With Reese, he seemed to get into a pretty good rhythm on Saturday with a couple of punts inside the 10. I mean, is there a quality about him you think that stands out to you in terms of just his ability to work through inconsistencies in his first year and now find a groove here in November?
Yeah, he's really been impressive, and I'll throw in Saturday. That was huge, his role, and then certainly Weege, just did an unbelievable job, and congratulations to him too, being recognized by the Big Ten, so deserved. I mean, he's trying to do things every time he gets his hands on the ball. Reese, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about that in the shower this morning. I don't know why. I think of weird things in the shower all the time, but I was thinking about what he was doing and some other options we might have had as a punter. And you never know, you just never know. And then now you're talking about Australia, which has been good to us, but it doesn't mean every guy that punts that grew up in Australia is going to be, pay off. I think the thing I've been most impressed with him is just his maturity and his ability to really practice well, which for young guys it's not usually that easy, but he's really serious out there on the field. He works at it. He's not happy when he hits a bad one. He'll occasionally do that. He hit a couple this morning. But it upsets him a little bit. But he gets on to the next one. He doesn't dwell on it and, act like a baby. And so I think his focus and his ability to prepare for a young guy it's been impressive. And I don't think I've ever been around where a guy put 4 6-yard liner in. I'm not sure some of those got spotted correctly. A couple might have been 5 or 4, but nonetheless, you get the idea. I mean, that's 4 really good punts, and that's just a huge swing in the game in terms of field position. And so, it's exciting to think that he can get better, and I think he will.
Tyler,
they got a good punter too, by the way. Yeah, left footer, Australian.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. The play that Brendan passed it and then ended up being one of the lead blockers. Just what was your kind of reaction to seeing that?
It wasn't an official race, but you could probably say he's faster than Scoos. I guess that was the takeaway. But it says something about his personality too, him wanting to get down there and help the play. He could have stood there and been a spectator, but he threw the ball and then he started basically trucking down the field, and that to me was being a good teammate. His block was okay. I mean, his guy came off, but nonetheless, just had effort. But that's kind of who he is. He works hard, and that's kind of what I was referring to back in the summer program when you'd watch those guys compete during conditioning stuff. He goes hard. He goes one speed. He acts like a football player. A total football player, not a specialist.
Kirk, Jeff DeBruff, KCCI Des Moines. Tyler took my question. I'd like to know, just as an offensive line guy, any critiques on the block from Brendan? Anything that you think you look at and you tell him maybe work on this next time?
On the what?
We're going to do it. On the block from Brendan when he was running downfield. Any critiques, I guess, as an offensive line guy yourself?
On one hand, I was really happy to see him go down there. On the other hand, I'm okay if, you don't get too close to the fray. We certainly don't want him leading with his head. That's for, first of all, is, getting out there. Not to excuse quarterbacks, but I'd rather them not be too physical anytime they do anything. If they want to hip check a guy or something like that, great. But, it's kind of like the guy in the NFL that's just coming back right now. He had a first down made, and he led with his head going for more yardage, and I'm not sure I understood that move. It's not always the smartest. I guess that's wisdom and age.
John Steffi is that again. First of all, with Reesar's move to wide receiver, kind of what prompted that? And then speaking of wide receivers and your punt returner with Caden Weechin, what's kind of stood out to you over these last few years with them ever since you got him from Iowa Western?
I'll start with that. I mean, he just, he's got a good energy too. Just, that's never been an issue with him. Consistency has been an issue, and not in a bad way, but, he's like, he goes, and he sometimes is a ready, fire, aim guy. But and I don't mind telling you, going into the season, I was a little worried about him, judgment fielding balls. I'll say that. I'll admit it now. But he's certainly earned my trust. Like, he's just doing a really good job back there. And I'll say this too. People don't realize how hard a job that is. I think it's one of the hardest jobs on the football field, maybe outside of playing quarterback is obviously really tough and challenging. But making good judgments back there and keeping a ball from hitting the ground, all those kinds of things, just start there. If you just field balls clean, you're ahead of the game typically in the punt return game. And then he's doing that. Plus he's, like I said, he's trying to get somewhere every time he's got the ball. He wants to score. And, his teammates did a really nice job too. But to have a good returner who's got an aggressive attitude like that, that's a big part of being successful. So I can't say enough about what he's playing right now. And I think he's having a lot of fun doing it too, which is neat to see. And then with James, it just, we just kind of looked at things and felt like that might be his best avenue of the field. He's a good athlete, good sized guy, and was doing a good job, unfortunately, until he got injured. And, it's another knee injury where there was no contact at all, which just seems to be a trend. It's kind of weird, but anyway, we'll deal with it.
Chad Leistikow again with Cade out. Backup quarterback situation, maybe not where you want it at this point. And you just said Brendan's full speed type of guy. So do you have to give him any, or do you feel like you need to give him any caution lessons this week, or do you just let him play and let him play like he normally does?
Yeah, I'd be fine, like, if he slides. If he's going to run the ball, slide. And I'm fine with that. Like, if we had 10 quarterbacks, I'd still ask him to do that. There's a difference between running backs, fullbacks, and quarterbacks in my mind when they run the football. And sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, too. I mean, it's situational. But, just ask him to be smart. But you don't want to harness a guy back or throttle him down too much. But, hopefully he's old enough now to have good judgment, when to do what you got to do. And but you can't play scared either. You got to go out and play the way you play. And, we're not going to be reckless with our play calling. I can put it that way, have him carry the ball 40 times. That's not part of the plan. Yep.
Two more. Hey, Kirk, Ellie Clough, Hawkeye Beacon. I don't think anybody's asked quite about this, but I was just curious as to what your conversations have been like with Brendan after coming in and stepping up and leading you guys to that victory. I guess, what have those conversations been like? I think I had heard that Tim Lester just walked up to him and said, "Man, I'm so proud of you." And I guess I'm just curious as to what your conversations with him have been like.
Yeah, conversations are personal, but just in general, he played well, and we expected him to play well. So we're happy for everybody. Happy for our entire team. That's a good thing about after a win, because it's hard after a loss. You really worry about where everybody is, mentally and emotionally. And this is an emotional thing. The experience what we do. So worry about that. But he, on the practice field, he's the same guy. He has been, at least since he's been here every day. Doesn't seem to go too high or too low. But he likes to practice. He likes to play. And obviously, I was really happy for him. And I can't remember what I said to him specifically on Saturday, but it was certainly positive and just, it was a good moment because, he had a lot to be proud of, just like the whole team did, but he certainly did. Anytime a guy comes off the bench, the next man in deal, that's a really good thing. And that's what it takes to be successful as a football team. So, just happy to see his work pay off for him.
Owen Seaborn with KGAN. I wanted to ask a little more about Cade. I hadn't seen the captain's release for this week. I didn't know if Cade was still going to be a captain or if that was.
He's one of our four, as I mentioned. Yeah, he will.
Okay. I just wondered about him and Brendan's relationship. I know it sounds like he's been kind of held out with his concussion. What his advice has been to Brendan, or what some of those conversations have been like. It sounds like those two are close, and what some of the things you've maybe heard him impart to Brendan this week.
Yeah, I'm not privy to any of them, but I know all three of those guys they have a good time together, and they relate very well. And they go back and forth all the time. So, like I said, Cade couldn't, he tried to sit through meetings yesterday and just couldn't make it, wasn't able to focus and all that stuff, which is not uncommon. And, but no, they all care about each other. They pull for each other. And it's been that way all season long, even when we were, started rotating Brendan in. All three of them they've got a really good vibe. And that's what you hope for. You hope you have that kind of thing. It was funny, I was driving in this morning. They're talking about Russell Wilson and Fields, and the chemistry they have. And I guess on TV last night, they were showing those guys on the sideline talking and conversing. And it was Bill Polian and Solomon Wilcots just talking about what a good relationship. And, that's what good teams have. You hope. Everybody wants to compete and everybody wants to win the job. That's what you want every player to want. But also, only one person's going to win it typically. Some positions you rotate. but you hope in each and every group, and then groups across the way are good with each other, and I think it's trademark of a good team. Not that you love everybody, that's not realistic, but everybody's got to respect and they get along. And in the quarterback room, that's a really healthy thing. And they compete against each other all the time, but they're all together, which is great. It's fun. Okay.